Hello, welcome. It's good to see you. It's been a while since I've done a wrap-up, but I feel like this year I've been quite busy. Lots been going on, so I think I'm just gonna do quarterly wrap-up. So every 3 months I will be wrapping up the books that I have read as well as the movies I've watched, so I do have that video as well if you want to go and watch that. I have been trying to find a place to film this video, and this is the only place I can film this video right now because my room is a mess. It is so bad. Like behind you, there is no floor space. I'm really bad at trying to keep a clean room. But these first 3 months of the year, I actually did not get as much reading as I normally get done, but there is still a good amount of books to talk about. I have 14 to talk about. Compared to last year though, that is a lot less. So I don't know if I'm gonna make my reading goal for this year. But I've been working a lot more now, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to read. I've been trying to do more audiobooks in the car ride because I am now driving an hour and a half to work and back. So maybe there'll be some more in the future if I just continue doing audiobooks in the car. But for right now, this is what we've got. 14 books. I'm excited and also not excited about some of these books. So we have like a very good range, a very good mix. This year I decided to add back in my 0.5 ratings, which is exciting because I didn't do that last year and it kind of bugged me. So we're adding in the 0.5s. I also know I usually start these videos off with statistics, but I've been keeping track of them, but I have not combined them, and I kind of don't feel like talking about statistics, so I will just, for this year, I'm going to save statistics for the end of the year. There we go. So let's get talking about these books, because there are a good amount, and I don't want to be here for forever. I do have a meeting to get to soon. So as always, we're going to talk about these books in order of my least favorite to my favorite. And the first one we are going to talk about was actually a DNF and was a huge disappointment because I really thought I was going to like it. But that is Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. I gave this a 1.5 stars and a DNF. I can't remember where I made it, but I made it to like almost the halfway point. And I was not engrossed in the story. I really was not liking our main character. And I just was bored. I was bored as hell. Absolutely bored. And I figured, like, you know, the book was getting to a point where they were going to redeem our character. And I didn't want anyone to redeem him. I was not liking his choices and the things he was saying about his son. I should probably say what this book is about. But this is actually based off a true story from our author, Daniel Black. I'll just read what it says here because this will say it so much better than I ever could. But this is about a black father makes amends with his gay son through letters written on his deathbed in this wise and penetrating novel of empathy and forgiveness. You know, I thought I was going to love this. It was going to be powerful, impactful, but I really could not stand the father figure, could not stand being inside his head. And I don't want I don't want him to be redeemed. It's great that he eventually learned on his deathbed. I couldn't read this book, so I had to stop reading it because it was making me angry as well as boring me. So, sorry. And then I only have one 2-star, and that is Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Ugh. I am really upset about this one as well. This was like a 5-star prediction for me. I have read Sylvia's other books. I read 2 of them. I read Velvet Was the Night, which I gave 3 stars. I thought it was okay. And Mexican Gothic, which I really enjoyed, and I gave 4 stars. So I thought I was really gonna like this one. This was one of those where I did the audiobook while I was in the car. And I was so close to DNFing this. So close to DNFing it. And honestly, I kind of wish I had DNF'd it because this was also kind of boring. Also, I feel like did not give me what I wanted. It's supposed to be like a paranormal horror where we have vampires and there's like also like some gang, like a vampire gang that I think our main vampire girl is running from, and she teams up with a human. And then we also have the cops that are trying to follow this case and trying to like lead them to these people. This was not horror. I don't know why it's in the horror section, because this was not horror, and that was what I was in the mood for at the time of picking this book up. So I was severely let down by the fact that I thought I was getting a horror, and there was nothing scary about this at all. This is more of like a crime drama, which I usually typically don't like. So that kind of makes sense for me. Weirdly, I was not expecting the romance to happen in here, and I kind of wished there was no romance. I think it would have been a lot better if there was no romance. So did not like the romance, and just overall bored. I could not tell you a single thing that happened in this because I've already forgotten pretty much everything. Alright, now for the first of the 2.5 stars, I have The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. So I read this because I, of course, have watched the TV show like everyone else and loved it. And I knew the book was definitely not going to be as good as the TV show. I just knew it. But it was not great. Our two main characters in this both have such, like, awful flaws that I couldn't get past it. Like, our main girl was so stupid and super annoying, and our main guy, I should say their names. So Daphne was the main girl, and then our main guy, the Duke of Hastings, Simon. He had so many anger issues in this book that it made him not attractive. Even trying to picture Regé-Jean Page in this like character, I was like, I'm glad they made the changes in the TV show, because he was so unattractive in this book, personality wise, and no. There were still some things about this that I enjoyed, but overall it just, no thank you. And then my other 2.5 star book that I read was Across a Field of Starlight by Blue Delaquanti. I was really hoping to love this one. Another one that I had high expectations and was a little bit disappointed. It's not, I don't want to say it's bad, because I don't think it was bad by any means. I just think for me it was very forgettable and boring, kind of like the other books that we have here that we started off with. This is a graphic novel, by the way, following these two friends. They meet on a planet and then they get separated, but they still stay in contact through like video calls and whatnot. But one of them's in like the army, the other's in like a neutral zone doing like science stuff. And the person in the like military war section of it kind of gets caught up, I don't want to say a conspiracy, but like gets caught up in something and then ends up getting in trouble and has to escape and find refuge. And that's all I'm gonna say. But this also features a lot of LGBTQ plus characters, so that was a big plus for me, which I really enjoyed. Our main character is non-binary, and I really enjoyed the friendship in this book, and I just really liked the characters, but overall the story just felt forgettable. And I just didn't feel invested in the story as I usually like to feel in like a sci-fi type of story. Okay, now we're moving on to 3 stars, and my first of the 3 stars is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is another book I thought I was gonna give 5 stars. Wow, a lot of my 5-star predictions ended up not being 5 stars. I didn't realize that until now. But this is a like mystery thriller that involves a bunch of characters that are studying Shakespeare in school, and they're all doing Shakespearean plays, and there's a lot of Shakespearean references, and I was like, this is for me, because I love Shakespeare, and it's a mystery thriller, so like someone dies, but like one of these people did it, and who did it, all the Shakespearean drama and intrigue, it sounded like me, and unfortunately it was just okay. Like, I didn't hate it, but at the same time, I just was expecting more, I think, which might have been a me problem and not so much the book's problem. I know a lot of people didn't like the writing of this in the sense that like there was too much Shakespearean language, but I didn't mind that just because I do like Shakespeare, and it kind of fit with the characters that they would speak like that when they've been studying Shakespeare for 4 years and been doing Shakespearean plays for 4 years, that it would just kind of become habit for them to talk like that. But for me, the like mystery aspect of it didn't feel as mysterious, and I don't know, I think just the atmosphere of the book wasn't giving me what I wanted, and I think overall the plot was just lacking for me. So like writing was okay for me. I really actually enjoyed the characters, and like a lot of things just like made sense and went with the story, but the plot and just like my overall enjoyment, I just really wasn't into it as much as I was hoping to be into it. And then my other 3-star is Unlock Your Storybook Heart by Amanda Lovelace. I'm so upset to be giving an Amanda Lovelace 3 stars. I have really enjoyed her other poetry works, but this just, I felt nothing with this one, unfortunately. I shouldn't say nothing. I did find some things to connect with, but that's like the whole point of poetry, I feel like, is to be able to connect to the poetry and what's being said. But this is the least amount of tabs I've ever given an Amanda Lovelace poetry book, unfortunately. But this is the 3rd and final book in her You Are Your Own Fairy Tale series. So it's poetry based off of fairy tales, and I really enjoyed the other 2, but this one I think was definitely my least favorite. Didn't hate it by any means. Obviously it's a 3-star, which means it's still good, but I don't know, I didn't really connect with these. My 3.5 star is The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. This is the 2nd book in the Bridgerton series, and obviously I read this because season 2 came out and I wanted to read this before season 2, which I did. I definitely did like this book better than the first one, obviously. I can't quite remember what exactly my issues were with this, but I did really enjoy this one. I liked the romance in this one better. I liked our 2 main characters better. The Pall Mall scene, obviously, and also the bee sting scene. I wish they had done that for the TV show, but it's okay. It's okay. I think the only thing that's like really lacking with this was, again, just the writing style wasn't too great. And there were a couple like character choices that just didn't quite make sense, but overall I did actually enjoy the 2nd one, and I can't wait to continue on with the series. I have been talking to a friend of mine who's also been reading the series. She has been telling me that she does not like Benedict's story, but she really likes Colin's, which is what I was expecting for me as well, to not really like Benedict's story and really like Colin's. So I'm gonna get to those as soon as I can, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Now for my 4 stars. I have Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. I have a whole reading vlog where I discuss my thoughts on this book, so I won't go into depth here, but I will link it down below, so if you want to know more of my thoughts, you can see that in that video. As we know, Agatha Christie is like the queen of mystery. She writes a lot of great mystery books. This is, I think, the 3rd of hers I've read. I do want to read more. Obviously, this one, we have a death on the Nile, so it takes place in Egypt, and we have like a wedding party on a cruise ship on the Nile. But I did really enjoy this. I think my least favorite part about this book were the characters, but overall the mystery was great. I had a really great time reading this book. I just wish the mystery had started a little bit sooner, but yeah, again, more of my thoughts are in that video. My other 4-star was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I read her book Beach Read last year, and it made my #1 favorite book of the year last year. So safe to say, I really love Emily Henry. This one was kind of a letdown after reading Beach Read. I know a lot of people love this book, and I think that's what happened with me, was that this just got so overhyped and so many people love it that when I read it, it ended up not meeting my expectations. So I found the romance kind of average, if I'm being honest. So in this one, we follow Poppy and Alex. They have been friends for quite a long time, and they would always go on like one grand vacation every single year, and then something happened that kind of like they had a little bit of a falling out friendship wise, but she wants to recreate it, so she invites him to one last vacation and try to, you know, get their friendship back. But obviously things kind of go awry, but also there's romance, so we know that it's more than just friendship. So I think with this one, I enjoyed definitely the writing of it, and like I just like the way Emily Henry writes, but I think for me the romance didn't really, I didn't feel the romance as much as I normally like to feel it in a romance book. So you have like a chapter that will take place in present day, and then you'll have a chapter that takes place in the past, and then back to the present, and then back to the past, and time keeps moving forward in both of those. So you keep seeing like each of their vacations that they've had from their first one to their second to the third to the fourth, and then present day you're like following day by day by day until the very end, where obviously we get to the end of the present day vacation, and also to where we get to their last vacation that they had where things blew up, and you find out why they kind of had a falling out. I thought the reasoning for them having a falling out just didn't feel as climactic as I think it was supposed to be. It just, yeah, it kind of felt like we were building up to this, and I was like, that's it? Wait, that's it? Like, it just, it didn't make sense to me. But overall, I still did very much enjoy it. I loved the vacation, I loved the setting, the atmosphere, and I love a good romance. So, especially with Friends to Lovers, I feel like I don't read many of those, and I need to read more of those. My last 4-star is the book that I actually finished last. I finished it just 2 days ago, and that is The Final Six by Alexandra Moner. This is the first in a young adult duology sci-fi, where we follow some kids who are training to go to space. But their space mission, maybe there's more to it than what the adults are telling them. So, what I love about this is we also have a competition aspect as well as like space training, and I really like it. I also love the little like romance that happens between our two main characters. I think it's very sweet and very young adult, so it's a little, but at the same time, it's sweet. I do think a lot of things just felt too simple with this book, especially like the writing. I think that's like my main complaint, is that it was just a little too simple, but the intrigue, the enjoyment, it's all there. So definitely excited for the second. Now for my 4.5 stars, the first is Before We Disappear by Sean David Hutchinson. I have been reading this book since September of last year. It took me a long time to read, and it's not because I didn't like it. Obviously, I gave it 4.5 stars. It was just slow paced. I don't know what happened. Also, a lot of my tabs are just in like one section. But this was a really great like fantasy romance between two magicians' assistants. One real magic, one not real. This takes place at a carnival, and there are lots of stakes involved. Not just within their own relationship, but also within like their lives. I do want to give a trigger warning though, for this one. There is physical and emotional abuse. Both of our main characters, the adult figures in their lives, are abusive. So just keep that in mind when reading this book. Maybe that's why it also took slow, because reading those scenes was a little tough. But I absolutely loved their romance. And I just really love Sean David Hutchinson's writing. This is the second book of his that I have read. I definitely want to read more from him. And I loved the magic too. Oh my god, the magic was so cool. And it was just like, it also takes place in the 20s, so it has this historical feeling to it. It was great. It was great. I really enjoyed it. My last 4.5 star goes to The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. This one I also have a reading vlog for this book, so I will link that down below if you want to hear more of my thoughts on this book, so I won't say too much here. But overall, again, really enjoy this book. Obviously, gave it 4.5 stars. I cried reading this. I really connected with the feelings and the emotions that the character was going through, because this book does deal with grief. We follow our main character whose sister, her name was Bailey, passed away. I think at this point it was like a few months ago the passing happened. And it's just about her going back to school, but also dealing with the fact that her life's gonna move on and keep going without her sister. And there's a new boy at school, but then she's also dealing with the grief and like sharing the grief with her sister's boyfriend, although I guess ex-boyfriend now. But I really loved the way this book captured the emotion of grief. And I liked our characters, and I really liked our dialogue. I just really liked everything about this book, to be honest. I don't know why I gave it 4.5 stars. I think it's just like 5 stars are reserved for like books that really give me like a feeling, and this, it did give me a feeling, but just like it wasn't quite there at a 5. I wasn't like gushing about it as soon as I finished reading it, but I still really much enjoyed it, and I definitely want to read more from her because I love her writing style. It's the best part about the book. Now I have 2 5 stars, and they will be the last 2 books that I talk about in this video. And the first one is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. I honestly did not think I was going to give this 5 stars. I thought this was going to be like a 4-star book, but this was the sci-fi horror I was looking for. Yes. So this is a horror, and it is horror. There are some scary parts where I was like reading and I was like, what? No. There are also some gross things, especially towards the end where they talk about someone's eye. It was so gross, and I was, ugh. But this, we follow, what's her name? Claire. How about we just read, because I don't think I'm gonna do the synopsis justice, but we follow Claire, days away from being unemployed, made obsolete, when her beacon repair crew picks up a strange distress signal. So they're in space, her and her crew, which I loved her crew. Oh my god. It felt like the movie Underwater, but in space. That's what it is. This book felt like the movie Underwater, especially characters-wise, but in space and not underwater. Anyway, with nothing to lose and no desire to return to Earth, Claire and her team decide to investigate. What they find is shocking. The Aurora, a famous luxury space liner that vanished on its maiden tour of the solar system more than 20 years ago. A salvage claim like this could set Claire and her crew up for life, but a quick search of the ship reveals something isn't right. Whispers in the dark, flickers of movement, messages scrawled in blood. Claire must fight to hold on to her sanity and find out what really happened on the Aurora before she and her crew meet the same ghastly fate. So this also does involve ghosts. That was the main thing that got me. It was ghosts in space, and I was sold. I absolutely loved it. The atmosphere was crazy. When I was in the mood for horror, I just like kept trying to read horror and trying to find it, and like this was it. This was it. And then once I read it and found it, I was like, I'm good. And then my favorite book of the first 3 months, okay, so my favorite book so far this year is Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. I will never not give a Heartstopper book 5 stars. Like, they're just so wholesome, so cute and adorable, and I'm so excited for the TV show. Oh my god, that's coming out this month. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I didn't realize it was so soon. Okay. So Heartstopper, basically, it's a graphic novel series. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but then I started reading it, and yeah, I'm so happy I read it. But we have these 2 characters, Charlie and Nick, and we follow their relationship as it grows, and we learn more and more about them and then their families. This one we do focus a lot more on Charlie's mental health, because we talked about it in volume 3, but this one we get a little bit more deeper into it. It starts to kind of pull their relationship apart, but I'm sorry, you can't break Charlie and Nick up. They're too perfect and too cute. But yeah, Heartstopper Volume 4 is just butterflies and sunshine, and I love it. And that is it for this video. and all of the books that I have read within the first 3 months of the year 2022. Please also go check out my movie wrap up, where I talk about all the movies that I watched in the first 3 months, which there are 18 of them, so that's quite a lot. Yeah, and I will see you guys later with more videos. Bye.